The Pike and Billy Squire at 8:31 in the studio right now. We have a couple of gentlemen from Beyond Wrestling. Drew Cordeiro. Drew, what is your title over there?
What isn't my title?
I know
over
you
there?
do
I do
like
everything but the wrestling.
You pretty much do it all.
The
over
owner,
there.
the promoter.
Yeah.
I like to greet the fans as they come into the building.
Production manager.
Production. You name
all
it.
that stuff.
Everything except the wrestling.
Yeah.
Security.
Sometimes, God forbid. Yeah.
And it's happening tonight at the White Eagle, right?
Yeah, we'll be at the White Eagle tonight, and we'll be at the Worcester Palladium 1 week from today on the 26th for Wrestling Open The Last Stand featuring Steel Cage Warfare.
Yes, so I'm very excited about that. Now, in the studio, we also have a wrestler by the name of Fancy Ryan Clancy. Not just a clever name. Look at you, man. This is not a job interview.
Well, I wish that the people over the radio would be able to see that, but I like to think energy is a big thing, and people can feel that through what we're saying over
Absolutely. You are impeccably dressed, sir.
Thank
Look at
you
that.
so much.
I mean, just it's like your hair, the whole deal, everything. We're Facebook Live, so you can don't point that thing at me.
Yeah.
Get Fancy Ryan Clancy over here. Nobody wants to see me. That's
That
why
is
I'm
great
in radio.
hair, Mike. You know, if I had hair, that's exactly what I would do with it.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
if we weren't live, I would say that you did have hair, but
So, Fancy Ryan Clancy is here, and will you be there at the Palladium on the 26th?
Yes, sir. I'll actually be fighting for the Wrestling Open Championship against the man who has held the title for the better part of over a year in a steel cage match, one-on-one.
Wow.
At the Worcester Palladium. That's next Thursday. It's a match that's been kind of building for a really long time, and there's been a lot of personal animosity between me and Brad.
Brad. Is that his wrestling name?
That's his name. Brad Hollister is his name. He goes by Big Bacon, is his nickname, moniker. Maybe like a little bit of a funny nickname, but he's definitely someone who you have to take very, very seriously, because I don't think you hold the title for over a year by accident. But I'd like to believe that he's a very selfish man, and my selflessness and the ability that I have to inspire and the responsibility that I have to connect with the people of Worcester and everybody who watches around the world is something that's going to allow me to take the title and make it a bigger deal than it is right now.
You are so suave.
Thank you so much.
It's unbelievable. Usually it's like, Big Bacon's going to get taken down. And you're like, well, I'm a giver.
Well, I truly believe, right, that everything we do, I think it's in alignment with what you guys do as well. We have that responsibility that, the fame or the opportunities that we have being live on air, the people that we meet, to be role models for anybody that we come in contact with. I truly believe that we have that responsibility. And it's up to us to do the right thing at all times so that people can be better than we are, right? So that we can leave the world a better place than how we came into it.
This is not what I expected.
No, me neither. In fact, I feel quite the opposite. Like, if anyone considers me a role model, you're sorely mistaken. I am actually better than everybody else.
That
we're
makes
going to
sense,
settle
though.
that right now.
That makes sense.
Maybe I should be a wrestler.
Mike, I'm getting a little concerned for our friend here against Big Bacon.
So make no mistake about it, right? I've been wrestling for my entire life, right? Everything I do every single day, inside and outside of the ring, better prepares me to be the best wrestler I can be. So even though I'm very well spoken, even though I have these ideals and these morals behind me, when I step into the ring, I turn into a completely different person who's flowing with every aspect, and I'm not going to make any sort of mistake when Bacon comes at me.
Neither do we.
Yeah, neither do I. I know exactly what I'm doing with Bacon.
We never pass up a good Bacon opportunity.
And so I've watched some of your stuff.
Yes,
so
sir.
you get into the ring sometimes with great outfits. Sometimes you're very well put together.
Thank you.
But then you've got that old timey feel about you when you're down to the tights.
Yes, sir.
You have that stance. That what I see in like photos from like the early 1900s. You just need a handlebar mustache, and then you put the hands on the hips and you puff out the chest, and you look like a classic strongman, from the 20s. Is that something that you cultivated over the years, or it's like, I'm going to be that guy?
So I think the best things in life are things that happen naturally, and I think ever since I was a little kid, right, my father would always speak on going to Madison Square Garden and watching Bruno Sammartino fight, and how he felt inspired by Bruno, right? So I think a little piece of that along my journey, I moved to Calgary, Alberta, Canada when I was 19, all the way away from home, and I learned from some of the best wrestlers in the world in that area to be the man that I am today. So I felt this sort of need to bring back tradition in a way that a lot of people haven't seen for a very long time.
Okay, now I understand where you're coming from. All right, I get what you're trying to say. The cage match. Let's talk about that. Have you done cage matches before?
So last year, myself, Desmond Cole, Dustin Waller, and Kylon King were involved in a 4-on-4 steel cage match at the White Eagle in Worcester against Brad Hollister and his group of lackeys. It was 4-on-4 elimination, or once everybody gets into the ring, first pinfall or submission wins or give up, right? That's my only experience in a cage match, but I've been amateur wrestling my whole life. I've been lucky enough to wrestle all around the world. I just came back from Europe. I've been all over the States, Canada, you name it. So like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I think the preparation that I've been slowly amassing my whole life is what's going to better prepare me and have me more prepared than Brad Hollister when it comes to being inside the cage. Plus, the fact that he's had these lackeys with him for the better part of the year and been able to have...
You keep using that word,
Well,
man.
It's the truth, though, because these guys are very selfish and they don't think about anybody but themselves, and I don't really respect that, to be honest with you, because when you're a man and you have that opportunity, right, like we mentioned earlier, to inspire people, I think you do the world and yourself a disservice by cheating, by taking the shortcuts, by doing the easy thing, right? Sometimes what is easy is not what's always right. So I feel like once he's locked inside the steel cage with me, one-on-one, he's going to have no choice but to not rely on anything but himself and his instincts, and I just honestly think I'm the better man.
Wow. What is your signature move?
So I'm best known for drop kicking people. I have the best one in wrestling. Anytime I hit it in a match, it's knockout. They're down for longer than 3 seconds.
Now, is that something you saw before you got into wrestling, that's something you saw and you were like, that's going to be my move? Or is that something that kind of came organically to you?
So I was trained by a wrestler named Lance Storm in Canada.
Good name.
And he's the one that he was very well known for his drop kick. So I think that just the training and the way I was taught on how to do one is very different than most people around the world. And I just found a knack for it that I was very good at executing the move in a very effective way. So I like to think that I am a very in-the-moment kind of person. So whenever something speaks to me or I'm flowing with something, I just listen to that. I listen to my intuition. So the drop kick I was just naturally good at. I would notice that it was very effective, so I decided when I hit that, people are going to know this is when it's done, this is when it's over with.
I recently watched the Vince McMahon documentary, which I highly recommend to everybody, even if you're not a wrestling fan. It's just, first of all, he's a fascinating guy, surrounded by fascinating characters. But the one thing that kept coming up with the wrestlers that they talked to was when the people say to them, wrestling is fake. Yeah.
Absolutely
right?
not.
Yeah.
So,
and they get very, very worked up about that.
So I'll tell a brief story really quick, right? A little over a month ago, right? Just random happenstance in a match. I fractured my left shoulder, right? I had absolutely no idea it was fractured. I knew I couldn't move my shoulder, right? But guess what I had to do? The next day I had to go fly 12 hours to Frankfurt, Germany, and wrestle that night as soon as I landed, right? So when people use the word fake to describe wrestling, I think it's understandable that people take that personally because what we do is very inherently dangerous. And it's definitely not for everybody. And people have died for this sport.
Yeah.
And I think if you really think about it, right, everything is made up, right? Everything is fake, right? We all give meaning to everything. So when you call something that a lot of people feel very passionately about and tell them that it's BS, I don't think that that's a very nice way to interact with anybody.
Oh, awesome.
Watching what they do with their bodies, there's nothing fake about it. I went to Monday Night Raw in Boston on Monday night. And
they have Monday Night Raw on Mondays?
Watching them.
I thought it was on Tuesday.
Do what they do, and watching what these guys do at the White Eagle. By the way, there's no padding on the floor at the White Eagle, I've noticed.
Nope.
You have that luxury maybe when you make it to WWE. Until then, you are landing on a floor.
Hardwood floor. We let our fans stand right up against the ring, pound on the canvas, on the mat itself.
That's why I love that. Like, I've been to some WWE events, and they're spectacular. But it's like seeing a band in a club at the White Eagle because you're right up. There's sweat flying everywhere. You're, like you said, banging on the floor, the ring. It's just an exciting experience,
and
man.
we're going
It's
to
a lot
have
of
the
fun.
same. We're going to have the same setup at the Palladium. We're going to put the ring right in the pit, so some fans will be able to sit on the stage. They'll be able to stand on the balconies. But we want all of those fans to get their tickets ahead of time. The Palladium website, be able to stand ringside, get as close to the action as humanly possible.
So to get tickets, they can go to thepalladium.net.
Yes.
Or can they go to Beyond Wrestling to get tickets?
Everybody would like to send them to thepalladium.net to get tickets. If people want to get tickets for the floor, if they come to Wrestling Open tonight at the White Eagle, I will have tickets for $20 without having to pay the service fee. I do have a few tickets left, so come to the White Eagle tonight for Wrestling Open. There's going to be a contract signing. I mean, it's really more of a technicality than anything else since the match is going to go forward. But Fancy Ryan Clancy and Brad Hollister are going to be officially signing the contract for their match next week at the Palladium.
Oh, no, those never go well.
Those never go well. But we'll see who it doesn't go well for. I think one
Adam,
thing
you got
pointing
to be
out...
more positive like Ryan.
No, I got a few things up my sleeve, though, for sure. I
Really?
think it's important to stay.
I told you, Mike.
Don't let my words fool you, right? Like I said before.
I think it's worth noting that Clancy's the one that challenged Brad Hollister to the steel cage match, and I think that there's a lot of confidence that comes along with it. And, don't let this mild-mannered facade kind of, I don't want to say
I've
fool
seen
you,
him in action.
but he's a killer. When that bell rings, he's a killer. I think that Brad Hollister, all of his lackeys that have only existed to support Brad, I don't even know that they do anything for themselves anymore. It's kind of a shame, and I think that it's about time that Clancy kind of rights the wrongs that we've seen in
Management
Wrestling
is calling
Open.
them lackeys, too.
I know. There's a lot of tension bubbling up here about Big Bacon, is it?
Yeah.
Big Bacon.
It's gonna be
here.
fun tonight.
So, yeah, go to the White Eagle tonight and see what could possibly happen with the contract signing. But more importantly, get your tickets for the Palladium show on the 26th. Great if you want to get away from the family or if you want to bring the family. They are family-friendly events.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very intense, but...
Yeah, but I see kids at the White Eagle all the time. Yeah. Fans, they're going crazy. It's awesome. It's a really fun night.
And we'll be back at the White Eagle on New Year's Eve as well for Heavy Lies the Crown, featuring the Fans Bring the Weapons match.
What?
Between Cruel and Marcus Mathers. Yep. We set up a table right as soon as you get in the room. And you plop your weapons on the table. The clock strikes midnight, the first match of 2025, and those guys go to town. It's an annual tradition.
That sounds like a terribly wonderful idea.
Yeah, and it's bad for the wrestlers. It's cool for the fans.
Ryan, have you taken part in that?
I have not taken part in that match, but let me tell you, the steel cage match is definitely just as dangerous.
Right,
so
yeah.
You're definitely getting a good bang for your buck in the next few days to get a steel cage two steel cage matches at the Palladium, as well as a Fans Bring the Weapons match. So I definitely recommend that anybody in the Worcester area or greater area make the trip out this holiday season.
Yeah. Just real quick, going back to the Fans Bring the Weapons night. This is an annual tradition. What have you turned away?
Somebody had a plastic dinosaur that must have weighed 4 or 5 pounds that was covered in nails.
Oh, my God.
The story that I always tell is that when I was out in Chicago, there was a Fans Bring the Weapons match, and somebody brought a beehive. And everything was dead inside, but when the beehive opened up, the whole room filled with like this dust, and there were no windows. So we do have some rules for our Fans Bring the Weapons match. No glass, no liquids, nothing perishable, nothing alive, and nothing that used to be alive.
Nothing
No
alive. I would like to know that person's thought process.
It was probably, hey, I took this out of my yard, and I can't throw it away anywhere, so I'm going to bring it to wrestling and let them figure it out.
Yeah, it's like, this would be great to bring to wrestling. How many beers does that take to start thinking that?
Those were dollar beers, too, back then in Chicago. Sheesh.
More than a few, I'd say.
Oh, my God. I'm sorry. Have you ever used weapons in the ring?
Absolutely, yeah. So I've been able to partake in plenty of hardcore matches, steel chairs, tables, kendo sticks, you name it. Definitely not my forte. It hurts a hell of a lot. I can't even imagine how a live beehive would feel.
Yeah. I mean, soft, but still, yeah, you get a lot of stuff going into your lungs. And you're covered in... I mean, that's insane.
Remnants.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Not ideal.
All right, well, guys, thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Now I'm confused. It's the 26th is...
At the Palladium.
That's not the last. Is that the last stand?
Wrestling
the last
Open,
stand.
the last stand.
Okay.
Thursday the 26th, a week from today at the Worcester Palladium.
Okay, and then what's
And then on New Year's Eve,
right.
Beyond Wrestling, Heavy Lies the Crown, featuring the Fans Bring the Weapons match.
And that's the White Eagle.
That's at the White Eagle. That's
Okay.
on Tuesday the 31st. So we're at the Palladium Thursday the 26th, and then we're back at White Eagle on Tuesday the 31st.
Do you guys go late enough to ring in the new year?
Yeah, so that Fans Bring the Weapons match will start right at midnight. It'll be the first match anywhere in the world on 2025.
I can't tell you what, like the Rolodex, that's flying in my brain about what I could possibly bring.
And then we'll be back Thursday the 2nd, too. Our commitment to Worcester is that we're going to do live wrestling every Thursday forever, whether it's the Palladium, White Eagle, or somewhere else. Worcester has taken to us, and we want to continue to give back.
And it's gotten bigger every year.
Yeah.
Every
bigger
week.
every year.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's because it's awesome.
Thank you.
It's an awesome night out.
Yeah, it is.
You know, go tonight at the White Eagle. You'll find out they got a bar upstairs. And you guys usually have pizzas and stuff like that. Everybody's got their merch. It's a great. You got any of those Beyond Wrestling Santa hats available?
I think we sold out of those.
Oh, okay,
we have some
right.
Wrestling Open Championship title fanny packs this year.
Oh, very nice.
Yes.
So you can put the weapon you're going to bring into your fanny pack.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So if you want to check it out tonight at the White Eagle, go and then get some tickets without the fees while they last. Drew Cordeiro, Fancy Ryan Clancy.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for blessing us with your presence today.
I appreciate it.
We really appreciate it. And we were Facebook Live. We'll post this video up on our Facebook page in just a minute.